The stench hit Naira first, damp metal, scorched ozone, blood, and desperation. Her enhanced senses recoiled, but she didn't flinch. Showing weakness wasn't an option, not here. Not while she was being dragged down a corridor lined with half-broken bodies and dim lights, toward a fate worse than death. She had stopped praying weeks ago. There was no one listening. Only contracts and credits. Survival didn't come from hope, it came from endurance. The guards flanking her didn't speak. They didn't need to. The silent hum of their energy whip spoke volumes. They had seen dozens like her, half-bloods, runaways, orphans. Things to be sold. Nothing more. They pushed her through the final gate, and the harsh auction lights burned against her retinas. The sudden brightness left ghosts of light in her vision, but her ears adjusted quickly, twitching toward the crowd. Murmurs. Excitement. Sick fascination. Lot 298, came the auctioneer's amplified voice. Hybrid female. Sarin human lineage. Undocumented, prime condition, unbonded. Excellent for breeding programs or exotic service. Her fists clenched involuntarily, nails biting into her palms. This is what I am to them. Not Naira. Not a person. Not someone who once ran through sunlit forests, who had a mother who braided her hair and whispered bedtime stories. She'd been reduced to a label. A lot number. The platform was raised, metal underfoot trembling slightly from the machinery below. Above her, giant display screens showed her image, holographically enhanced, zooming on the golden gleam of her eyes, the curvature of her spine, the way her tail coiled tight around one thigh in a subconscious defensive posture. A voice from the seats, 5,000 credits. Then another, deeper voice, 8. 10. 12. Naira kept her chin high, ignoring the way her stomach twisted. Her father's voice echoed in her skull like a curse. You're special, Naira. One day, you'll save what's left of our bloodline. And then he sold her. To cover his debts. To clean his name. To save himself. The bidding climbed. Someone in a sleek red uniform raised a hand, 25,000. Naira's tail twitched in alarm. The emblem on the bidder's jacket, she recognized it from her time in the underground colonies. A collector. Not just any buyer. They didn't buy for pleasure or profit. They bought to display. She felt her breath hitch. Not slavery. Not servitude. A cage. 28. 30. Then. 75,000 credits. The voice was calm, quiet. But it cut through the noise like a blade. A murmur ran through the gallery. The auctioneer blinked. 75 from seat 901. Do I hear 80? Silence. A ripple of discomfort. Even among traffickers, that number was steep. Naira looked toward the speaker. A human man. Unremarkable in appearance, dark jacket, stubble, a face you wouldn't notice unless you knew to look. He didn't smile. Didn't leer. Just sat forward in his seat, elbows resting on knees, eyes locked on her like she was more than just a number. For a moment, something sparked between them. Recognition? No, curiosity. Maybe something more dangerous. Sold, the auctioneer snapped, eager to close the deal. Naira exhaled slowly, tail still coiled tight. The red-uniformed collector looked furious. Her wrists were yanked again as guards hauled her off the stage. They shoved her toward her new owner. He didn't touch her. Didn't speak at first. Just stared at the contract. Thick paper, digitally sealed. Then he pulled something from his coat. A lighter. With one flick, the contract caught flame. Holographic seals fizzled, curling into ash. An illegal act, punishable by fines and imprisonment. Gasps. Shouts. The guards froze. Then all hell broke loose. He spun, driving his elbow into the nearest guard's throat. Naira moved on instinct, kicking backward and cracking the other's visor. "This way," he barked. They ran. Naira didn't ask questions. Didn't trust, but trusted this moment. Together, they ducked under scaffolding, into maintenance corridors. Alarms screamed behind them. Boots thundered from above. Security was mobilizing. "Who are you?" she hissed. "Silas," he grunted. "Just keep moving." He led them through back tunnels, a maintenance shaft, then a hidden elevator shaft. They climbed down cables, her claws digging into steel. Finally, they dropped into a side corridor. "Cargo bay's 2 floors down," Silas said. "My ship's docked." Naira hesitated. "Then, why?" He looked at her. "Because no one else was going to." His voice was quiet. Flat. Sincere. They reached the docking bay as sirens pulsed red across the floor. Silas slapped a code into a panel. A ramp descended. The ship wasn't large, but it was fast. Armored. Sleek. Battle scars marked the sides like tattoos. As they ran inside, blasts echoed behind them, security forces entering the bay. "Strap in," Silas ordered. They launched. The G-force pressed Naira into her seat. Her tail curled involuntarily around the harness. Space opened before them, stars, infinite and cold, yet somehow kinder than the world they left behind. For the first time in weeks, she breathed freely. The ship, the Solace, leveled into hyperspace. Silence replaced the chaos. Silas moved to the console, hands moving fluidly. Naira stood. "What now?" she asked. "You're free." She stared. "You burned the contract," she said slowly. "But you still paid. Doesn't mean I own you." "Then why? Why risk that? For someone you don't even know?" He looked tired. Older than she first guessed. Not physically, but something behind the eyes. "I've been on both sides of a cage," he said. "I don't do cages anymore." The ship had a small medical bay. She found it later, after exploring the layout and confirming no cameras, no cells, no locks. Her shoulder still ached from where a guard had stunned her weeks ago. The burn was healing poorly. She stripped off her tunic, examined the wound in the mirror. And saw it. The curve. Small. Barely there. But unmistakable. Her breath caught. She pressed both hands to her stomach. "No. No. Not now. Not." Silas's reflection appeared behind hers in the mirror. His voice soft. "You're pregnant." Naira spun, snatching a scalpel from the wall. He raised both hands. "You're safe," he said quickly. "I'm not here to hurt you. You shouldn't be here at all. I was checking the scanners. Saw the med bay active. You tracked me. I was worried." "Don't be." A pause. Then, "Do you know who the father is?" Naira looked away. The colony had been safe, briefly. The man there had been kind. She'd let herself feel. Once. He died during the raid. "Doesn't matter," she said. "It does," Silas said. "Because this child." "Don't," she snapped. "Don't you dare talk about prophecies, or bloodlines, or genetic futures. I'm not interested." "Neither am I," he said. "I'm talking about you. Your body. Your safety." She blinked. "You need nutrients," he continued. "Supplements. Shelter. Real care. I need none of that from you." He nodded. Stepped back. "Then take it from my ship. Use what you need. Rest where you like." Eat if you want. I won't stop you. Her hands trembled. This wasn't kindness. It wasn't pity. It wasn't power. It was choice. You don't want anything in return, she asked. Not unless you want to give it. The silence between them deepened. Not empty. Not cold. Full of something new. Something terrifying. Trust. That night, Naira couldn't sleep. Her body was too used to concrete floors and bruised ribs. Comfort felt alien. She wandered to the ship's garden pod. Small hydroponics glowed with soft blue light. Herbs. Fruits. Protein algae. I grew this, Silas said from the far bench. Couldn't eat ration bars forever. Naira sat slowly. Inhaled the minty sweet scent of unfamiliar green leaves. You were military, she guessed. He nodded. What happened? Lost too many people I couldn't save. Decided saving one person was enough. She didn't answer. But her tail, slowly, carefully, uncoiled from her thigh and rested on the bench beside his hand. Not touching. Close enough to mean something. Space looked peaceful when you weren't being hunted. Silas leaned back in the pilot's chair, eyes fixed on the stretch of stars ahead. The Solace cruised through deep space, engines running cool, signature masked. They'd shaken Kepler station's pursuit, for now, but silence didn't mean safety. He glanced at the console again. No pings, no shadows on radar. For now, they were ghosts. Behind him, the faint sound of footsteps reached his ears. Soft. Deliberate. Her. Naira had stopped trying to sneak around the ship. She still moved like someone used to running, but now she walked freely. Her presence had changed in the past 24 hours. Quieter in some ways. Louder in others. When she entered the bridge, he didn't turn to face her. How's the arm? He asked. Healing, she replied. I used the dermal patch. Your med kit is, well stocked. Military habit, he said. I've bled in enough places to know better now. A silence settled between them, but not an uncomfortable one. More like a question neither was ready to ask. She stood beside his chair, arms crossed, tail flicking lazily behind her. How far are we from the next system? 3 days at our current speed. We're not using jump routes, too easy to track. And when we get there? That depends on what you want. She frowned. What do you want? Silas turned to look at her. Her gold-flecked eyes met his, wary but steady. I want you to be safe, he said. Why me? Because when I saw you on that auction block, you didn't look broken. You looked like you were about to tear someone's throat out. She gave a faint smile. I was. Exactly. She studied him, searching for deceit. When she found none, she leaned on the console beside him, close enough he could smell her again, desert spice, fire, and something sweeter. The baby's growing faster than normal, she said after a moment. He tensed. Do you think it's dangerous? Not to me, she said. But it's different. I feel things. Hear things. Like echoes in my mind that don't belong to me. Silas considered that. You think it's the hybrid genes? He asked. She nodded. My mother told stories. Of Saran ancestors who could feel across distances. Empathy stronger than language. When our bloodline mixed with others, sometimes the abilities became strange. Psychic strange? Not exactly. Emotional. Like an echo. Like touching someone else's grief and not knowing if it's yours. Silas thought about the look in her eyes when she'd seen the contract burn. Not relief. Not even hope. Something older. Like mourning. Do you feel me? He asked quietly. Naira blinked, startled. Her eyes softened. Sometimes, she said. He didn't press. Instead, he stood, stretched, and motioned toward the corridor. Come on, he said. You should see something. He led her to the cargo bay, a space not designed for comfort, but still large and private. In the middle stood something unexpected. A box. Not large. Maybe the size of a person kneeling. He pressed a panel, and the top split open with a soft hiss. Inside, nestled among foam and cooling units, were vials. Seeds. Cells. Vials labeled in 6 different languages. What is this? She asked. A legacy, Silas said. When I left the service, I visited the outer colonies. Lots of those places were burning. Warlords. Syndicates. Governments that didn't care. I couldn't save everyone, but I collected what I could. Genes, she guessed. He nodded. Extinct flora. Endangered fauna. Medicinal plants. DNA from species being wiped out because someone decided their land had better profit margins. You're a collector. Not like the ones who wanted you. She stepped closer, eyes scanning the labels. You think saving a seed means something? She asked. I think, planting one does, he said. A pause. Then she said, you risked your life for me. And now you want to plant gardens? Maybe not yet, he said. But someday. Naira turned to him. The look in her eyes had changed. She wasn't trying to size him up anymore. Wasn't looking for danger. She was looking for why. You lost someone, she said softly. He didn't ask how she knew. A long time ago, he replied. Someone I couldn't save. What happened? A mission went bad. Civilians caught in the crossfire. My orders were clear, but she, his voice broke slightly, she was innocent. Like you. And I obeyed my orders. Naira stepped closer. You regret it. Every day. A silence. Then, she would have liked you. Naira blinked. Why? Because you fight. Even when you're outnumbered. Later that night, Naira couldn't sleep again. The ship hummed with low power, stars crawling past the observation window. She stood in the garden pot again, fingers brushing soft leaves. Her stomach had rounded slightly more in the past 2 days. The baby's presence felt more real now, like a pulse beneath her skin. She heard him before she saw him. Not footsteps. Not breath. Just, a presence. You don't sleep much, Silas said quietly. Used to sleep with one eye open. Still do. Less, she admitted. Good. He sat beside her on the bench. You should name her, he said. Naira's head turned. You're assuming it's a girl. I'm hoping. Naira looked down at her belly. I don't even know what kind of life she'll have. A free one, he said. Because we'll make it. We. The word echoed in her chest like a heartbeat. She looked at him again. Really looked. The scar along his jaw. The calluses on his hands. The weariness in his eyes. And under it all, the warmth. The quiet steadiness of someone who'd stood on the edge and turned back. You're not afraid of me, she said. No. Why? Because I see you, he said. And you scare them. Not because you're violent. Because you survived what was supposed to break you. And you're still soft enough to care. Her breath caught. His hand was close. Not touching. Just near enough. She moved her fingers closer until they brushed. Skin to skin. His voice dropped to a whisper. Can I kiss you? She hesitated. Then, yes. The kiss was slow. Unhurried. Not hungry, just real. Her tail curled around his wrist, fingers tangled in his collar, and for the first time in so long, she let someone touch her without armor between them. When they parted, their foreheads rested together. Hearts beating in time. Neither spoke. There was nothing to say. The alarm screamed through the ship 2 hours later. Proximity alert. Naira jolted upright, claws extending. Silas was already at the console. "What is it?" she demanded. "3 ships. Incoming fast." "Configuration, damn it, they're the same as the ones from Kepler Station." "Trackers?" He nodded grimly. "They followed us. Maybe through quantum imprint. Maybe the baby. Maybe you." She was already pulling on clothes. "How long until they reach us?" 15 minutes. Less if they power boost." She stood at his side. "Then we fight." He looked at her. "We run. We can't outrun them forever." "No," he agreed. "But maybe we can burn them." Her brow lifted. He pulled up a schematic of the engine core. "There's an old failsafe. Wasn't meant to be used, it vents the reactor. Massive burst of heat and radiation. Might disable their systems. And kill us? Not if we time it right. What do you need from me?" He hesitated. "Then, trust." Naira nodded. "You have it." The desert planet had no name on star charts. Silas called it the Brink, but Thalen had always preferred Dust Wake. It sounded like something surviving a storm. Fitting, considering the place. He stood on the ridge above the canyon, wind tugging at his long coat. Sand whipped against his scarred cheek as he scanned the pale sky for movement. Something flickered. A ripple in the clouds. Then a shape. A ship, just as Silas had promised. Thalen raised his comm, "Incoming." "That'll be him." Below, the settlement began to stir. They weren't many, barely 24, and most weren't trained for combat. Exiles. Survivors. Refugees from burned-out systems. He'd given them walls, power, water. Now he was supposed to give them safety. As the ship descended, Thalen stepped back from the edge, cloak billowing like smoke. He descended the cut rock steps as the Solace landed, dust flaring beneath its engines. The ramp hissed open. Naira stepped out first, her posture cautious, eyes scanning the canyon's ledges with instinctive wariness. Then Silas emerged behind her, one hand protectively at her back. And Thalen, watching from the base of the ramp, saw something shift between them. Subtle. Unspoken. Trust. And something warmer than that. "You look like hell," Thalen greeted, stepping forward. "And you look older than when I left," Silas shot back. "That's because I've been building a town in the middle of a dead world." They clasped forearms. The kind of grip forged in fire and battle, not ceremony. Thalen's eyes turned to Naira. She didn't flinch. "This her?" he asked. "This is Naira," Silas said. "And she's carrying something that's going to change everything." Naira's tail curled loosely at her side. "You built this place?" "With what I had," Thalen replied. "And a lot of promises no one expected me to keep." She tilted her head. "And why keep them?" "Because someday," Thalen said, "someone like you was going to need it." The settlement looked like nothing from orbit. Hidden in a box canyon, surrounded by rock formations that scrambled scanning tech. A few squat buildings, low towers, solar collectors shaped like petals. But underground, it was alive. As Thalen led them down the ramp tunnel, he explained. "We've got hydroponics, recycled water systems, shielded medical, and an off-grid comm relay that only fires in bursts. No traceable pings. Everything solar or thermic." "How many people here?" Naira asked. 23 now. 2 more when you landed." He glanced at her. You're safe. And if anyone comes after you, we've got defense systems strong enough to hold them off. Naira's expression didn't change, but Silas saw the way her shoulders eased slightly. Just slightly. It was enough. Thalen gave them a private module. 2 rooms, reinforced walls, access to the med bay and garden sector. Naira didn't unpack. She barely even sat. Silas was in the small kitchen unit when he heard her voice from the threshold. I don't know how to do this. He turned. She stood barefoot, one hand on her stomach, her tail coiling nervously around her ankle. You don't have to know, he said gently. You just have to be here. Everyone's expecting something from me. From this child. Even if they say they're not. Not me, he said. Naira walked to him slowly. You're not afraid of what she might be. I'm afraid of what she might face. Silas stepped closer, and for a long moment, they just stood there. The heat between them slow and warm, like sun on stone. Then she leaned in. Not for comfort. Not for rescue. For connection. Over the next week, the settlement grew busier. New arrivals trickled in. A pair of mechanics from the Lavaris system. A mother with 2 children whose ship had limped in with 1 working engine. All of them had heard rumors. There's a place where they protect you. There's a woman who escaped the slave auctions. They didn't know her name. But they knew her story. And when they met her, they saw more than scars and eyes like liquid gold. They saw hope. Naira became the quiet center of the settlement. Not a leader. Not a hero. A presence. She worked in the hydroponics garden. Helped teach the children their languages again. Offered silence where words failed. The baby's growth accelerated. Thalen checked the scans personally. She's stable, he told Naira. But her neural activity is, beyond anything I've seen. You think she's dangerous? Thalen hesitated. I think she's different. But I've learned not to fear that. Naira nodded. Me too. One night, a storm rolled in. Dust and static crackled in the upper atmosphere. The walls groaned. Power dimmed to backups. Silas and Naira sat together in the quarters, candles flickering on the table. She leaned into his side, head resting on his shoulder. I've been thinking about a name, she murmured. For her. For all of us. Silas waited. We should call this place Solara. It means, after the sun, in Old Sarin. He smiled. Then Solara it is. But not everything was quiet. In the southern canyon ridge, Thalen monitored the perimeter sensors. And saw something that made his chest tighten. A ping. Buried deep. Subtle. Quantum signature, non-localized. Nearly undetectable. But he'd seen one before. He activated the comm, Silas. We have a problem. Naira didn't need the sensors to know something was wrong. Her heartbeat, usually in sync with the child inside her, had changed. The rhythm stuttered. Her skin prickled. Her tail stiffened involuntarily. It felt like the air had changed. Like someone had spoken her name in a room she hadn't entered. By the time Silas came to find her, she was already pulling on her boots. They're here, she said. He nodded once. Thalen found the trace. Quantum residuals from Kepler. Someone scanning for you. Or for her, she said, pressing a hand to her stomach. Silas looked at her, something fierce behind his calm. We're not giving either of you up. They met Thalen in the command dome. The former soldier didn't bother with pleasantries. Long-range telemetry caught a soft sweep about 20 clicks outside our perimeter. Not local tech. Military grade. Designed to ghost under standard radar. Origin? Silas asked. No signal, no ID, no timestamp. It's someone smart. Someone who knows exactly who they're hunting. Naira leaned over the console. The data showed a brief flicker of energy, barely noticeable, but familiar. Intimate. She'd felt it once before. Her father. Ryvek. The last time she'd seen him, he'd handed her off to auctioneers with a kiss on her forehead and a quiet, "Forgive me someday." She hadn't. And now he was coming back. The council, such as it was, met in the converted med hall. Thalen, Silas, Naira, and 2 community reps, Yanni, a former galactic diplomat, and Soren, an ex-trade unionist with a prosthetic arm and an instinct for defense planning. "We need to assume they've already located us," Yanni said. "Quantum trace tech isn't random. It's intent-based. They knew what to look for." "We can cloak," Soren added, "but if they launch ground units, we're exposed. We weren't built for siege." Silas leaned forward. "We don't fight them head-on. We control the approach. We collapse the canyon ridge above their landing zone." "Bury them?" Soren asked. "We delay them. Force them to negotiate." "What if they don't come to talk?" Thalen asked, voice dark. Naira stood. "They'll come to take." Later, alone in their quarters, Naira sat by the window. The sky above Solara was stormless for once. Clear. Alien stars spilled across the void. Her belly shifted beneath her robe, the baby restless, turning. Silas entered, quietly. He carried hot water steeped with herbs from the hydroponics bay. Her favorite, bitterroot and sleep leaf. "You remembered," she said, taking the cup. He sat beside her. "You okay?" "No," she said. "But I'm not breaking." His hand brushed hers. She let it stay there. "He'll try to talk," she said. "He'll say this is all destiny. That the child is the key to peace. That it justifies everything." Silas nodded. "He won't get near her." Naira looked at him, heart aching. "You don't owe me this." "No," he said, "but I choose this." A pause. Then he added, "I choose you." Her breath caught. In the flickering light, she leaned into him and whispered, "Then choose all of me." When the ship came, it was silent. Sleek, black, reflective. A craft built for diplomacy and warfare, depending on the angle. It hovered over the ridge, then landed softly, dust spiraling upward like smoke signals. No troops disembarked. Just one figure. Robes the color of old blood. Silver-threaded cloak. Posture straight despite the years. Ryvek. His hair was thinner, but his eyes were the same, amber like hers. Once warm. Now hard. She stepped forward alone, past the shielded gate. Silas watched from the tower, rifle slung but not raised. Ryvek opened his arms, palms exposed. "Naira. Don't say my name," she said. "I came to see my grandchild." "You sold your daughter for that child," she replied. "Don't pretend this is affection." His face twitched. "You're angry." "I'm alive. You should have counted that a loss." He sighed, lowering his arms. "Do you know what she is? What you carry? The threads in her DNA, human and sarin woven. Your blood and the blood of a man forged in war. This isn't coincidence. It's prophecy." Naira stepped closer. "Prophecy didn't break my bones in captivity. Prophecy didn't bleed when I did. Don't talk to me about destiny when all you've done is orchestrate pain. I preserved you. You broke me." A long silence. Then Ryvek said, "I was wrong to abandon you. But I won't lose what comes next." "You already have," Naira said. And then the child inside her moved, forcefully. She gasped, hand flying to her belly. Ryvek stepped forward. "It's beginning." She's awakening. Behind her, Silas called, Naira. She turned. And everything exploded. Not the ship. Her. Pain washed through her like fire. Not contraction pain. Something else. Something mental. Images, not her own. Voices. Emotions. Too many. Too loud. Her knees buckled. Silas caught her before she hit the ground. Naira. Her eyes were wide. Pupils flickering. Thalen ran toward them. It's neurological. No, Naira gasped. Not mine, hers. She's awake, she's reaching out. Then everything went silent. For everyone. Soren dropped his tool. Yanni pressed a hand to her chest. Across the settlement, people stopped moving. It wasn't fear. It was peace. Overwhelming, unnatural peace. A stillness that wasn't theirs. Empathic override, Thalen realized. The child was broadcasting. Unconsciously. Silas felt it too. Like grief, and love, and a longing so vast it swallowed galaxies. And at the center of it all, Naira. Her body arched. Light poured from beneath her skin. Glowing veins. The baby's aura. No longer latent. Active. They rushed her to the medical bay. Dr. Levin, the colony's only xenobiologist, scanned her rapidly. No physical trauma. All systems are stable. But the baby, she's generating quantum fields at the cellular level. Something's changing. Changing what? Silas asked. Everything. Naira's voice came from the cot. He'll try to take her now. He'll say the galaxy needs her. We're not letting him in again. He already is, she whispered. The door opened without a sound. Ryvek stood in the threshold. He didn't bring weapons. Just words. The child is more than you, he said. More than me. She's unity made flesh. She's my daughter, Naira growled. He stepped closer. But the baby stirred again. And suddenly, everyone in the room felt it. Connection. Not command. Not coercion. Just understanding. Sorrow. Joy. Fear. All of it. Like water filling a shape. Even Ryvek faltered. He knelt. Not from pressure. From recognition. What is she? He whispered. Naira didn't answer. The child inside her did. A soft pulse filled the room. A lullaby in light. The whisper of galaxies spinning into peace. You wanted a tool, Naira said softly. But she's a teacher. Ryvek's shoulders shook. Then he turned and walked away. No army. No prophecy. No war. Just silence. Hours passed. Then dawn. Naira woke with her hand in Silas's. Her body hurt. Her mind buzzed. But she was whole. And the child inside her was quiet. As if waiting. When the time comes, she said, she's going to change everything. Silas looked at her. You already did.